Alrighty, hey traders, John Howell here. Today, I want to talk to you about what's going on with the stock market right now, and some things that it's important to try to keep an eye on, and also understand about just trading when it comes to what's happening with the stock market, the patterns, things that are happening in the markets right now, guys, and try not to let our emotions and our thoughts get involved with the mechanics of what's going on when it comes to the stock market. And just going with that. I'm also going to talk about the gold and silver. Some of the short-term patterns I'm seeing right now. There's a potential false breakout to the downside coming, I believe. That's going to create a really strong reversal pattern. And then also, guys, I want to share with you some really important patterns and techniques that I believe is really going to help you when it comes to your trading. And I really believe that a lot of the things I'm going to share with you, that if you just start to apply just slightly, I really do know it's going to really help you in your trading. So let's get straight into it, guys. Don't place a trade based on what you're seeing in this video, because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty, so let's get straight into it. If you do need some help, guys, make sure you grab access to that trading course on the screen right now. I'm giving away free access. Link in the description there, guys. So let's actually start off with the good old stock market here. So one of the things that is, when we're trading the markets, okay, one of the hardest things I've had to learn over the last 20 years of experience is my thoughts, right? My thoughts are just that, they're thoughts. My emotions and my feelings around these markets really is not a representation of what we should be doing, right? Because one of the most important characteristics to a successful trader is what? Staying emotionally calm when you're in a trade. Now, obviously, a lot of the times when people are trading, they're trading way too much money, which creates an imbalance of what? Now, not staying calm, creating emotions, and now we start to see things a lot different than what's really going on, or maybe we want to see things that's not really there. Right, and then we start to create some sort of story, and you've probably been down that path before, right? So the purpose of me bringing that up at the start of today's session is of what's going on with the markets right now. So I can throw at you my thoughts and my opinions about what's coming, or I can just give you some guidance on, okay, what is the market telling us right now? And how can we gauge from that? And one of the things that really sort of helps me with this, guys, with removing the emotions and try to stay as emotionally calm as possible while I'm actually in positions or even in the market and looking at what the market's doing, is by having black bars, right? See how I've got black bars through here? These are just black open, highlight, close bars. I do use candlesticks. So for example here, this is a candlestick chart of the exact same chart, right? Unfortunately, when we're looking at these candlesticks, and we zoom right in, these candlesticks, especially if we've had candlestick training about what the different candlesticks actually mean, right? Oh, this is a shooting star, this is a bullish harami, this is a reversal, this is etc, 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 right? We can get, especially if you've done a lot of training around that, we can start to get into what the actual individual candlestick is actually meaning, right? And that can really create maybe like a paralysis analysis, right? And we can really start to read into something that may or may not be there. So for me personally, over the last 20 years of trading, I haven't really found candlesticks to be that effective. When it's more like, to me, it's more about the overall pattern that the market is creating, not one individual candlestick, but a collective of bars that create patterns, right? Like we're talking about different types of patterns, wedges, heads and shoulders, flags, and stuff like that, right? That I've always found that the collective of bars that create a pattern is more powerful than an individual what one bar looks like, right? Now, I do believe bar analysis is important when you're actually in a trade, if you're trying to maximize a short-term position. But for me personally, guys, looking at the markets here. So the reason I'm saying that is that by looking at the Dow Jones right now, and I'm utilizing the Dow Jones, is that we can clearly see that the Dow Jones has had a tremendous up move from here all the way up through there to there. And now what's going on is now we're just going from sideways from there to there and also from there to there. So the Dow Jones really hasn't been doing much, right? Really hasn't been doing much from here all through here, probably for the last, say, 4 months, really, right? Like we did go up, but now we're just been going sideways through. So this thing's been really going sideways for the last 3-4 months plus, right? So it's just a continued sideways movement from here. So this is actually really setting up now for, now we could get a short-term drop to the downside, but I really believe that this is setting up for more upside to come. If we look at that, that's the Dow Jones there. Bit of a short-term channel there. Again, we may, on a short-term sort of analysis here, guys, we may get a bit of a drop to the downside just by looking at this overall down and up. But this overall pattern through here, guys, is really just no one really in control, right? So if we go look at, say, things like the S&P 500, and we're trying to, again, use the exact same analysis around the S&P 500, and this is where it's important for us not to have a blatant statement across the entire market, right? Because what we saw on the Dow Jones is what? It's creating a different pattern, isn't it? It's creating a different pattern compared to the S&P 500. The Dow Jones has been sideways for the last 3-4 months, where what's happening with the S&P 500? The S&P 500 is what? It created a low, and then it ran up and it made another higher low. So the S&P 500, where the Dow Jones did basically this, right? The Dow Jones went down, up, and then down again. Where the S&P did what? It went up, down, and now back up again. So if I'm just removing my emotions right now about what's going on with these markets, this market is clearly in a strong upward trend right now. And trying to fight that is very, very, very risky, right? Because, trying to pick, if you think about it, right, guys, like if you try to pick tops and bottoms, like I'm going to short the market now. I'm going to short the stock market right now because I think the market's going to go down, right? Did you hear what I just said there, right? Hear the terminology I was using. I'm going to go short here because I think the market is going to go down. I have never thought about anything when it comes to the markets that's created a really successful trade for me. Maybe a short-term profits and so on and so forth because it's based off a thought, right? But when I have these patterns that I look for, and I'll share with you some of them in just a minute. But whenever I look for my patterns, I'm like, oh, this is the same pattern that generally produces a pretty good result afterwards, right? And you can see those patterns and so on and so forth. I teach you that in the actual trading system, and if you actually like to learn my actual trading system, guys, in that free trading course, I teach you it. But by looking at this S&P 500 right now, what's happening? We're just low, high, low, and now we're moving up. And now on a short-term level, we're doing what? On a short-term level, we're still breaking above these highs up here, right? So this actually could hold and then continue up and going for a run. And in fact, I actually have a target I have an overall target, and this might sound pretty crazy, but I do believe that we're likely to hit 6,000. I have that as an overall target. Now, an overall target, okay? If you watched yesterday's update, I talked a lot about that, but in a nutshell, my big long-term sort of weekly charts that I'm looking at here and stuff like that, this here, what's happening here with these weekly charts, we're down, come up, now we're going sideways. I do believe we're getting ready for another really, really, really big move to the upside that could see us moving up towards the 6,000 level here. Now, that's not straight away, guys. That's meaning we're not just going to straight up, right? It might go up for a week or two. We may even have a bit of a backing pattern. But I believe over the next 6 months or so, we're probably likely to see that 6,000 level. But that doesn't mean we're not going to see 3, 4, 5% corrections along the way, right? It may not happen then. I would say a conservative approach would be within the next 12 months, we'll probably see the 6,000 hit. And again, because you never know, I'm really confident in seeing that 6,000 here, but I just don't know how it's going to play out, right? Is this going to be a short-term top and we go for a bit of a drop for a month, and then we have a big bullish 3, 4, 5 months, right? And then we go like, is that what's going to happen? If I'm looking at the markets right now and I'm not really going on based off my thoughts, I'm just going based off what the market's telling me, if I'm looking at even the weekly chart, look at this weekly chart. The weekly chart is doing what? It had all this resistance through here. Now this is a weekly bars, right? So this weekly 1, 2, 3 weeks of resistance, then it came down to, then it what? And then it came down 1, 2, and then last week, look what actually happened. We actually bounced off it and closed high. So that's actually very, very, very bullish. I do see this thing continue to have a very strong bull market. But right now, guys, especially by looking at where we are right there, right, of last month and where we are through here, you can see a very, very, very strong trend line to the upside. So right now, traders, trying to go short the stock market right now is very, very, very risky. You may capture a little bit of a downside. The hard thing about trying to go short the markets right now is that you're fighting the overall market, right? If you know that the big moves are when we jump on big trends, right? And what is that? It's going with the trend. So try not to pick tops and bottoms, right? Because I know sometimes in the back of my mind we think, well, if I go short now and we get a really big crash in the stock market, that's not going to happen in the actual S&P 500, right? So as you can see, my thoughts are, who cares, right? But what the market is saying, I'm like, okay, if I use just simple trend analysis, and in that free course, guys, that first video, I walk through trend analysis and why this is, I even go back to the 1950s of charts to show you why this is probably the number one thing we can actually be looking at is what's the overall trend. And that's what I like to use, which is black bars. So I'm not looking at the individual candlesticks. I'm looking at the overall flow of the market. And then I'm using the weekly chart to give me what? To give me a gauge on what's going on right now. And what is going on right now? It had a low, ran up, had a pullback, bounce, 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 come back up. And now we're just going sideways through here, right? And now we just had a higher close. So as we speak right now, this can change. But as we speak right now, this is a very strong bull market. And you can see it came down through there. Low, had this bounce off, and now we're pushing up. So is the market going to roll over? That would be a guess, right? That would be me saying it's a guess. I would not want to be trying to fight this market right now. I just want to be going with it, right? And until this thing starts to change. Now, if indeed we do start to get something like this, for some reason, this market opens and we have a really big down week like that, right? If we get something like that, then what's the market telling us? We're probably getting ready for a bit of a move down towards the 5,000 level. That if we do get that, that's the if scenarios, right? We respond to what the market's doing, not reacting. Right now, when we respond of saying, okay, the market is in a very big, strong bull market from here. If we go look at the Nasdaq, and the Nasdaq is pretty much on the same sort of level through here. You can see we've actually had this sort of trend line from this low point here to this low point here. And we've also had this major resistance level all through there, around that 18,500. You can see all the resistance through here. And now look at what happened. Now, and this is really important, right, traders? One thing I found about potential false breakouts is this, okay? So one thing I've found is that this market runs up, hits resistance all through here, comes back up, comes back up. If this was a false breakout, it would do that, and then it would start to head down, right? False breakouts don't tend to bounce and start to continue up. So if I utilize this as a daily chart, a false breakout pattern doesn't normally do that. We don't normally go up and then back down and then continue bouncing up, right? What a false breakout pattern will normally do is you get all this resistance all through here. It'll come back up. It'll do this. It may even bounce for a little bit and then continue down like that, right? And this will create the false breakout because it one last little push and then it breaks down. But this actually bounced and then continued up. So for me, traders, by looking at these markets, that's actually a very strong movement to the upside. And again, I wouldn't want to be fighting this. Now if I go look at this chart here, I did actually have a target. I'm pretty sure the target was, what was the target there I did for the Nasdaq? It might have been this one here that I got it here. Oh yeah, so around 20,000. So around 20,000 is what, this is my big long-term monthly charts, guys, but around 20,000 is where I see that going. So if we have a look at this here, and let's go to this weekly chart once again. This is the weekly chart on the actual Nasdaq. That's the major long-term level of support through there. If we look at the latest, there we go. right? If we look at the latest, that's that trend line through there. Again, this is a weekly chart through here, guys. And now we're bouncing off through there. So if we look at what's going on right now, we can see that it's come down through there. And so by looking at this level through here, guys, a completely real strong market through here. So again, I do see this thing is probably going to make its way up to around 20,000 on the Nasdaq through there. So once again, traders, that call, what I just said there, 20,000, I don't know how it's going to happen. We may get a short-term pullback for 4 or 5%. And, you know, we may get a month of bearishness followed by 3-4 months of massive bullishness, right? We may just continue staying bullish for the entire year. We just never know, right? But the overall is that I'm very, very confident within the next 12 months, we're going to see a 20,000 print, and within the next 12 months, and how that works. So that's what I'm seeing through there, guys, on the Nasdaq. And let's actually go look at the Russell. Now, the Russell, to me, guys, is one of the most exciting indices out there, right? One of the most really exciting indices out there, because all the other indices have actually made really big moves, right? They've made really, really, really big moves for the last 12 months or so. As we know, right, this market's been on a big tear for the last couple of years. But if I look at the Russell, let's go to the Russell weekly chart. So this is a Russell weekly chart once again. Look what's going on through here, right? So this to me is really, really, really shaping up for a really big move to come. Like, there's something really big about to hit this market. And I believe that those who have really good trading approaches, that you can really capitalize on this once the entry signal is confirmed. So I'm looking at this from a weekly perspective here, guys, but I'm also looking at this from a trading perspective, and I'm waiting for my entry candle that I'm looking for. I have my setup and I have my entry candle. In that trading course, guys, you'll see what I'm talking about there. But for me, the reason why I like trading the way I do, because I have my setup, because it's like this thing's setting up now, my setup pattern, and then I have my entry candle on the back of that. And so what I'm looking at through here is, look at this. Firstly, we actually had this sort of pattern through here, right? But look what's happening now. It ran up, and now we're creating this other sideways through here. This is so powerful, right? Because we had this big overall channel, and then it ran up, and now we're just going sideways again. And now we actually have all this resistance through here. Now again, this is a weekly chart, and that's that resistance all through there, right? 210 with this trend line coming to the upside. This is where it could be really, really, really powerful, and one of the indices that I'm really watching, because this overall pattern here, if you notice, what tends to happen is that whenever we do go sideways for quite some time, we tend to go for big moves. Right? So again, you can see how we went for sideways through here, and then we had a nice move to the downside. So I really like that pattern there, right? I really like that pattern. In fact, let me actually just show you here. One of my most powerful trading patterns that I really look out for is exactly that. Let me just bring this up through to here. Oh, by the way, guys, if you are feeling down at the moment, pause the video and read this thing here. This thing will really sort of help you out there. I always use this as a forefront on my mind, guys, moving forward. So if you've gone through a bit of a hard time right now, pause this, be able to read this. I guarantee it's going to really help you. But the thing that I'm always looking for, guys, is just that, right? That sideways period. If I just bring up this, all the different screenshots that I've taken, guys, all the trades that I've taken and things that I've noticed in the markets. But let me just go down to this screenshot here. And one of the actual patterns that I really love trading is indeed, which is basically, these are all basically the very, very, very similar chart patterns, guys, by the way. This one right here, right? So this is one of the chart patterns that I absolutely love trading. I love the chart pattern I love trading, which is what I call the L-shaped pattern, right? So if I look at this here, it's down, and then see how it's across like that. It's like an L-shaped pattern to a strong moving average. L-shaped pattern, strong moving average. And then once we get the large candle, that tells me we're now likely to start to see some follow through. Make sense? And so that's the L-shaped pattern. This one here is the upside down L-shaped pattern. Up sideways to a strong 52, then large candle from there. Make sense? So you see this time and time again. Down, sideways, that's the L-shaped pattern. Moving averages coming down fast, and we get the large candle, and we're now likely to start to see a move down, right? So you see this thing time and time and time and time again. Here's another example here, right? This just one of the trades I did, right? It's so powerful when you get what? The L-shaped pattern, up, see that there? Look at this here. Up, sideways, moving averages trending up strong, large candle, and we get a follow through. Remember, this is for trading techniques, right, guys? So trading techniques for me. So by utilizing that, again, if I look at the actual, if I look at the daily charts, what am I seeing on the daily charts? I'm seeing what? I'm seeing a potential. Now, it hasn't confirmed yet for me, right? But I'm seeing this here. What am I seeing? I'm seeing what? I'm now seeing a potential what? Up, and I'm seeing a potential sideways, sort of like an L-shaped type of pattern, slightly on the downside, right? So there could be something setting up here quite big. And once again, we're looking at that weekly charts, bring up all my trend lines. If we do indeed hold through here, right? So let me take all that off the screen and let me take you off the screen. You can see here, if we start to break above 210, then we're probably going to have a move up to 240. I have a target of, let me bring this chart up through here. Yeah, so this is the longer term chart that I have through here. And I actually have a target of around 300 on the Russell within the next 12 months of this video. So that's why I actually have a target up there. But the first target, guys, is once it breaks above 210, we can have a really quick move up to around 240 from there. So that's what I'm looking at there from the overall chart perspective, guys, from the actual markets and looking at the stock market here for this week. If we go look at gold and silver. So gold right now, if we have a look at this here, I mentioned at the start of this video of why we could actually see a bit of a short-term downside, but it's going to be possibly false breakouts because we've been in this channel now for quite some time. And we have this major level of support all through here, right? Major level support. So if we do indeed have this level all through here, right? And we do get a bit of a follow through here, I believe that's going to be a slingshot move or a false breakout, because then I believe the buyers are going to kick back in, just like they did back here, right? They went down, 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 and they kick back in. Now down, down, down. I believe that's, if we do get something like that following through all of this week, we're probably going to get a really strong reversal, guys, before we start to see this thing here. So gold and silver to create false breakouts, or gold to create a false breakout to the downside before a slingshot move back up. And then we go look at this one here. If we look at this here from a silver perspective, again, even though we got this is where, remember I said before, traders about, it's important that when we're trading, that we trade based off the pattern, right? Not just one individual candlestick. And what is the pattern telling us right now? The pattern is telling us that we're going, up, down, high, low, up, down, high, low, up. This could just be what? See, look at this here. Down, 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 higher lows, higher lows. Trying to short the market right now, very, very, very risky, because there's a real high probability we're going to turn around again really quickly, and we're going to start to see this thing continuing this upward trend, especially now being at these levels of resistance. So very, very, very risky there when it comes to the silver market on an overall basis from there. Looking at the actual, and if I bring this up here, let me show you this here. Right, so if I look at the GDX from here, traders, check this out. The GDX right now, look at this. So this is the GDX right now. See that resistance here? Resistance, resistance, resistance. This is the big picture here. So short term, I believe we're probably going to see a bit more weakness in the markets because we've just done a very big move up. But we need to create that higher low, right? We need to create a higher low and away we go type thing. Up, down, higher low, and away we go. You know, sort of thing from there. So that's what I'm looking at from there, from that actual perspective of the gold mining stocks. But the reason why the gold mining stocks is really powerful is, again, this is a weekly chart. So over the next few months, as this continue to develop, watch for this breakout above here, because once we do start to actually break above this level here, it's probably likely to see a really, really, really big move. So this actual long-term resistance line coming down through here could really be something big. So we'll probably see a bit of a short-term drop through here, guys. But over the next couple of months, as it starts to build that base, potentially that higher low, if we start to break above this 35 level over the next few months, could be really, 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 really powerful. You know, and looking at things like even the same thing, that's the GDX and the SIL, pretty much the same sort of thing. You can see here, this is a weekly chart once again, traders. So this is not for tomorrow, this is just for probably for the next few weeks, is that we see this thing, we possibly see this thing come back down. But if this does hold through here and we start to get a break above through there, guys, we're probably likely to see an extraordinary move coming out of the mining sector. If that happens on the SIL, the silver mining stocks, and the GDX, mining could be setting up for an incredible, because once it actually breaks out above all these levels through here, guys, we're probably likely to see this thing have a really strong move for a short period of time. And it's really interesting, traders, because all this is setting up for what? This is like the everything rise, isn't it? The everything rise in the markets from there. And it's really powerful. So the last thing I want to share with you guys is a bit of a Bitcoin update as well too, about what's going on right now. Hopefully, can I fit all this in the title? Anyway, so let's go look at Bitcoin. And remember, traders, what am I doing right now? Right. So what am I doing? I'm going to go look at this charts through here. And the one thing that I want to share with you is this. What do we look for? Right. We're looking for what? We're probably looking for the weekly charts. Right. So if we want to get a good understanding of what's going on with these markets, let's go look at these weekly charts. So this is the weekly chart here. And as you can see, what's this weekly chart doing? Very strong upward trend. This was the resistance through here. We had all this resistance and support. This is now that level through there. But look at this here. Low, higher low. Markets come down, markets come back up. And then now we're getting another higher low. So this is looking really strong. This is the weekly charts through here. If I now go to the daily charts looking at Bitcoin, you can see here, what's this daily chart done? And this is just... oh, traders, this daily chart right now, look at this here. Look at all of this sideways movement. After this very big move to the upside, right? Very strong move to the upside. And then now Bitcoin's doing this. So if Bitcoin gets a really strong breakout like that, traders, we're probably now heading towards that $100,000 mark. Looking at that through there. If I bring up this chart through here and I squeeze this up through here, yeah, we're probably getting ready for a really, what's that there, 70? Yeah, we're probably getting ready for another really strong move, guys, only because we've just done what's called a time phase or a resting phase, and you can really see this from a daily perspective. Look at all this sideways movement from here. It's just sideways. So once Bitcoin really starts to break and run, then we could be getting ready for a really big move to come out of these markets from there. So there we go, traders. Hope you enjoyed this session today. Traders, if you do really need some help with your trading, then you might be really good for my 6-month intensive coaching program that I'm setting up. For the next 6 months, you and me, you'll be actually part of a small group of 15 or so traders. And every single day, you'll be able to see what I'm doing. You'll be able to see the live market, and I'll be able to coach you and teach you and help you, plus give you the training, the scans to help you become a really successful trader, help you manage yourself through the emotions, through the markets, and so on and so forth. If you want that 6 months intensive coaching program, then that second link in the description there, guys, go click on that, go fill out the application form, and I'll see if you're a good fit. Speak to you soon, guys.